And I know that you're writing more. Your book, Before Religion, is coming out soon. Tell us about that and what inspired that.
Yeah, okay. So Before Religion, you see a theme here. What's become really important to me is the articulation and promotion of this notion of universal spirituality beyond sectarian boundaries. That, for me, is a really big thing. And I think, and I'm convinced that the Vedic or the tradition from the Bhagavatam and the Gita have something very profound to offer in this regard. So during lockdown,
where we had lots of time,
where we had some time. So I was essentially just I was reading a lot and I was making notes, and those notes turned into basically I was honing in on this aspect about what are our scriptures speaking about when they speak about non-sectarian spirituality. So I was compiling those notes, and it essentially turned into 100,000 words.
Wow.
Close to, and then when I started formulating that together, it just turned essentially into what became a book called Before Religion, and it sets out. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, which I'm sure most of your viewers are familiar with, but
maybe if they haven't, drop us what is it?
Yeah, okay. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, otherwise known as the Bhagavad Purana, is one of the 18 Puranas of the Vedic literature. It's essentially approximately 18,000 verses, and it picks up from where the Bhagavad Gita leaves off. So the Bhagavad Gita is a very short book in the sense that it's only 700 verses. And where that leaves off, the Srimad Bhagavatam goes into detail with stories and examples and furthering and deepening that philosophy. And so in the Srimad Bhagavatam are 4 seed verses which Krishna speaks. And those, when I was reading those 4 seed verses, it really struck me that within these 4 seed verses is almost like a story about how spirituality can be experienced and understood in a completely non-sectarian way. And so what I've tried to do is explode those 4 seed verses out into a hopefully a systematic approach to how the philosophy brings this to life.
With trying to make it non-sectarian, I mean, this is, I don't know if I'm challenging in the right way here, but let's see where it goes. With trying to make something non-sectarian, but still also applying this is a way in which you can still live, does that not also then become sectarian?
This is a way in which you can still live? Is that what you mean?
As in, like, you're saying, okay, we're breaking the boundaries down, sectarian spirit, which means that this silo, that silo of spirituality, we're breaking those barriers down, but then offering a new one.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not become a religious leader in the sense of starting a new religion, but no. So yeah, the idea being that the idea is to find the commonality. So it's not for everyone to become the same, but it is to identify the sameness. Right? There's a difference there, right? So it's about saying, okay, what are the things that we do see that we can see from the perspective of spirituality that are true for me and true for you, and that could be about the human condition, it could be about the nature of identity, it could be our nature of our journey of exploring that, our contribution to a greater purpose, etc. It could be many of these things, and I feel that the Vedic perspective on it was always like that. So sometimes when people think about Hinduism, they think about this monolithic type of religion because that's what they're used to in the forms of Abrahamic religions, which are essentially, I mean, even they are not in that sense. But Hinduism is even further kind of diverse than that, in the sense that, as we know, Hinduism, the word Hindu doesn't kind of feature in the ancient texts. It was an imposed word. But that civilization accommodated for the complete diversity of human motive, human state, human condition, whatever it might be, and facilitated that in a cohesive civilization, all progressively moving upwards in their spiritual journey. Now, how did they do that? Like, what was the framework that ties people together who don't have or don't worship the same deity, who don't necessarily have the same belief system in terms of the kind of the motivations for taking up spirituality, the same practices in terms of what mantra they chant or whether they chant a mantra. All of these things were completely diverse in that civilization that we now refer to as kind of Hinduism in the ancient time. So what does that civilization have to teach us about what we could learn about in our multicultural, globalized world? What could we adopt from those practices and those viewpoints that could actually give us a way of speaking about this without becoming either just dysfunctional or confrontational or defensive or bringing up our sectarian boundaries again and just tolerating each other as opposed to accepting each other, right? So
fascinating.